your path to personal and leadership growth. I'm your host, Steve Steele, alongside my co-host and partner in leadership, Ernie DeCumos. As certified speakers, coaches, and corporate facilitators, we're dedicated to bringing you powerful principles to fuel your leadership journey and personal growth. Whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out, a new leader taking the reins, or a seasoned pro looking to redefine your skills, this show is for you. We'll be diving deep into personal growth strategies to help you strengthen your mindset and leadership abilities. But before we jump in, a huge shout out to all of our amazing listeners. Thank you for joining us each and every week. We wouldn't be here without your incredible support. Now, let's get down to business and help you unlock your full potential. Ernalita, how are you doing, partner? You doing okay today?
Yes, partner. I am anxious and doing great at the same time.
You're
How are
anxious,
you doing?
Ernalita?
Yes, I'm very
Doing.
anxious this morning because we have an amazing guest that will be joining us shortly. But how are you doing today, partner?
I'm doing great. And like you said, I am so excited. Partner, I got to actually be with this man last weekend, and it was a crazy, amazing time. So, yes, I
Yes.
want you to take a minute and I want you to introduce who he is because I am so excited about today's show.
Yes, I am jealous about that experience, by the way, just to put that on the record. Our guest our guest today has an unconventional journey from Olympic sailing and modeling for brands like Polo and Abercrombie and Fitch to becoming the world's leading headshot photographer. Has seen him capture over 20,000 faces, each just 3 feet from his camera lens. His mission is to reveal the unique beauty in everyone, encapsulated in his mantra, your picture, my purpose. A sought after educator, he has spoken for Google, Apple, Microsoft, and TEDx, sharing techniques that have amassed over 8 million YouTube views. Recognized as a Canon Explorer of Light and honored with the 2024 Professional Photographer Achievement Awards at the UN, he continues to inspire. Beyond photography, he mentors through Headshot Crew, the largest network of headshot specialists, and authored the best-selling book, The Headshot. Living in New York City with his wife and twin daughters, he remains grateful for his journey and the countless faces he has yet to capture. So, with that being said, everyone, please help me welcome Mr. Peter Hurley to the green room.
Oh, Peter, it's so good. So good to have you here.
I'm so psyched to be here, you guys. You guys are awesome. I was honored that you would even ask me to come on, and now we're hanging in this.
August, Ernie, with the IMC,
Mm-hmm.
the International
Maxwell
Internet, John
Conference.
Maxwell. Thank you very much, Erlita. I lost my words for a second there. Yes, the IMC. I know that. I really do. I know that. But anyway, we met Peter here. We listened to him speak, and when we heard him speak last year, and Peter, this was the truth. When Ernie and I heard you speak and come off that stage, we looked at each other and said, "We got to have him on the show." So
Mhm.
that is why you're here. And then you graciously said yes that you would be on our show, and that was last August. And so we followed you through the last few months, and we're so glad you're here. Thank you so very, very much. We really appreciate it.
I was chomping at the bit to get on the show, but you guys are so super booked, I couldn't get in till now.
Well,
We
yeah.
apologize about that. We apologize about that. I guess
Well,
we're
let's just
doing
dive
something
in.
right. I think we're doing
Ah,
something right, Peter.
Something's happening.
yeah, well, let's just dive in, Peter. Let's just dive in and find out where this journey takes us today, because we're just kind of writing on a clean slate here. Because I'm excited to hear about your journey, where this thing has brought you. So, Peter, I guess the very obvious question would be, what got you into photography? What was it? Now we talked earlier that you said you started about 2000, in the year 2000. What really got you going that direction?
What got me going is that I needed a job other than being a bartender. I was like New York.
Okay.
Me. Well, what happened actually was I was training for the Olympics, and while I was doing that, a designer met me from Donna Karen. So DKNY ended up sponsoring me. And then she said, well, why don't you go over to Polo? Because they're looking for real sailors to model in this ad campaign. And I was like, I never modeled before, but I was like, I'll
Hmm.
go over there. So they sent me over. And I never thought I'd get the job. And then they actually called me about the job. And then I was like, I was training in the middle of training for the Olympics. So I was like, I can't even go. And then they called me back and they're like, no, you're going, and we're going to help fund your campaign a little bit more than
Wow.
what you may have anticipated. So I was like, and that changed my life. I can't believe I told them no the first time around. So I end up in this picture that goes all over the world. And the photographer who took it, his name's Bruce Weber. And he and I became friendly. And he started photographing me for different things he was doing. And I had him come down to Miami while I was training, and he photographed me there, and he threw it in Italian Vogue. And then he was doing this thing with Abercrombie and Fitch, and he put me in the ads for that. And then he encouraged me to pick up a camera. And I was doing this whole model, actor, bartender guy roaming around the streets of New York by that time. And I really, I was like, I was in the bar till like 4 a.m, and I was tired. I was at like the hottest club at the time. And I was like, I just don't want to be doing this, but I wasn't making enough money. First of all, my acting chops were definitely not honed because I couldn't make any money at that. My looks were fading because I wasn't getting any younger, I guess. So I got to figure something out. I was like, I can't be in this grind. And I wanted to I just thought I could do it. Actually, when I started, I thought that it would just allow me to continue this acting career that I was on. And what I found was that when I picked up the camera and people started to come in and I started to do it, I fell in love with it. And it just became my thing. And then I was like, I don't see myself doing anything other than this. And I had worked with a number of photographers, and I always remember, I was like, I think like that kind of life is cool. Like I was like, they all seem like they have this amazing life. They get to do interesting things. And I was like, I would like to be a part of that and maybe have a life like that. And I never thought that I'd be able to, I guess I did think that I had, because I did it, but be able to, my whole goal when I had kids was to be able to give them the life that my parents gave me. And my parents were very successful and driven and hardworking when I was growing up. And I just feel like that I got to do the things. I got to sail and travel the world sailing and stuff like that. And I just wanted to be able to do that for my kids. And everybody said, I got it from everybody. Well, you can't do that with a camera. Like you're never gonna, that doesn't amount to anything. You got to go get a real job. I heard it so many times, and I was like, no, I'm gonna figure out how to make this work. And I've been fortunate enough to raise my kids and let them have the life that they've been able to have. And they were there with me at the John Maxwell thing, which was so much fun to have them there.
Yes, we met them. They're both beautiful. I'm gonna be transparent. I'm not usually one to say this, but as you share your story, I have like 13 more questions to ask, and I'm trying to contemplate what the next question is. But I think I picked one. So while listening to your journey, Peter, you said something along the lines of you kind of fell in love with the camera and the images, right? So I would love to know, what is it about the images that you look at keep your interest in taking more pictures? Because I know today we will talk about how people see themselves, right? But every time you see an individual, what is it about their image that you see?
I think it's, for me, the human face is the most interesting thing on the planet. Like you can't walk by me without me like checking out your face. We're all so varied. My girls are identical twins, but they look totally different to me. Other people can't tell them apart, but obviously parents and stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, the human face is it's where it's at. And it's just a travesty that people look in the mirror and they don't like what they see. And I can't stand it. We've been given this gift of life, and we're born, and we don't pick our parents, and we're enveloped in this, body of ours, and it's what we show the world. And I guess I've been, over the 25 years I've been photographing, I've had so many people come in and say, oh no, you got your work cut out for you today and stuff like that, instead of saying, hey, I'm excited that you'll take my picture. And I want people to be excited about having their picture taken. So I made it my purpose to try and make people feel better about their appearance through the coaching that I do and through the work that I do, and to take a picture that's really, really special and unique for them. There's a lot of pictures being taken these days, and a lot of, obviously we all have phones with cameras in them. And people are doing selfies like crazy, and people are taking pictures of everybody. So more pictures are being taken than ever. And I want people, not only when they're with me, but whenever a camera, I coach people to behave in front of a camera when I'm not there. I'm going to take their picture with them, but I want their behavior to change. I want them to speak more positively about their appearance. I want them to know their angles. I want them to know how to arrange their face in a way that's pleasant for a picture. And it's challenging, because I usually don't meet, the people that I photograph. They show up at my doorstep, and I go to work, and it's the most, it's like I'm a kid in a candy store every day, because somebody comes in, and if they're challenging, I learn something and I get through it, and I work hard to make sure that person walks away with the best picture of themselves. And if they didn't know that they were beautiful, they're going to know it when they leave. And I had a woman who's gorgeous came in the other day, and I have this thing that I do with everybody where I'm very into the angles of the face, and the way the face behaves with light. So her angles, every angle was beautiful, but she looked like a different person on every angle. I was like, you don't look like yourself on this angle, and you don't look like yourself on this. You don't look like it. Like straight on was one thing. She had a very, she's like, I said to her, because I'm reading people's faces and I'm looking at them, and I turned to her, I said, you get Anne Hathaway all the time. She goes, oh my gosh, every day people think I'm her. I'm like, well, only on this angle, And she's like, I said, that's your angle for that. But when you go over here, and then I took a picture over there, and I took a picture on the other side. I know people on the radio aren't getting visuals of this. I like to always show it. Look at it, but we're going to speak it out.
Right.
What happened is that she wasn't aware of her beauty. And I'm emotional about it. Like it's important to me that people feel good in their own skin. It's a huge thing, to the point where it's become such a big deal for me that I just can't even let somebody leave until they see themselves in a positive light. So that's what my work's about. I'm trying to, I have this thing that I say, that the image that I take is just a byproduct of the experience that I had the opportunity to give somebody. That's what a camera's done for me. It opens every door that you could imagine. I get into places that I shouldn't be, that I'm just like, what am I doing here? And I love it. And people respect it so much, and value it so much. And it's given me a cachet that I didn't even know I had. And I don't take that for granted. And I don't take it for granted when I press the button either. A lot of photographers, I coach photographers globally, and I tell them, I'm like, look, when you press the button, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. They're experts. We're experts. We're standing out from the crowd. There's a gazillion pictures being taken these days with these, with our smartphones, and the professional photographer has to stand out in some way, shape, or form. And there's certain ways that you can do that. And one of mine is the passion that I have for the human being in front of my camera. And when I look through that finder, it's all about them. And I know over the course of my career that I haven't been like that. So I've kind of turned the tides on myself, I guess I would say, because people, it was funny. I used to, it was my way or the highway in years past. And it got me in trouble. And I was like, not worried about I was like, this is a Peter Hurley picture. This is my art, and it's got to be this way. And I had to put it in a box. Well, that box didn't fit everybody. And I'm trying to now navigate my way through and do it in a more cohesive manner with these people that come in, to make them feel empowered when they leave, and to show off these pictures. Do you know when somebody posts a new profile picture, it gets more likes than anything they post all year?
Yes, that's so true.
When their friends post a cool new picture of themselves, you guys should be posting pictures of yourselves that are good out there.
Peter, I was fortunate to. We have about 3 minutes here, but I was fortunate to really watch you work last weekend. It was amazing. But what I noticed about, and was fascinating to me, is the person that was getting their picture taken from you. Immediately, it just seemed like there's a trust bond that came between you two. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you make that happen so quickly, but it was like there was a total trust there. And the pictures you took of her were absolutely beautiful. And I'm like, that's amazing to me. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I call it trustability. Your trustability is your ability to create trust in a short period of time, and I call it my speed to trust. So in 2009, I opened a Twitter account, and I put 90% therapist, 10% photographer. And I remember, because I thought this is all I got to get these people to.
90% there.
What I realized was it wasn't therapy at all. It was trust building. Trust building
Yeah.
is if they
Yeah.
trusted me, they'll do anything I need. If the trust wasn't there, I wasn't going to get it. So I have these scenarios where I'm placed in front of people and it's a very limited time frame, and I have to go to work and I have to get them to trust me as an expert, and then kind of be in the palm of my hands while we don't have a relationship at all. I just had to do it with a CEO where like the EA is like, oh my gosh, we don't even know if we have enough time during the day to get the shoot in, and we don't. And I was like, I wasn't even at the shoot. She's calling me. She's like, I don't think we're going to be able to do it today. And I was like, no, we got to do this today. So I ran down there and set up my lights, and she goes, okay, he's got 5 minutes. And I meet him and we hit it off in 5 minutes. We got the shots, and he looked at me and said, I don't know what just happened, but that was magic. And the magic
Wow.
is the skills. It's the human connection between two people. Now,
Yes.
the thing is that trust is a two-way street. So he came in, and I was amazed by this. Since I'm so in tune with this, he came in trying to build trust with me. And you feel it when the human being is sincerely interested in you. And he was with me as I was with him, but he was doing it right back at me. I'm the one who's supposed to be doing it. I'm the photographer that needs to get you to do something for me. He was making me feel good about our relationship and our rapport, which I learned a lesson in that trust is a two-way street. And John said that, which
Mhm.
John Maxwell said that, which blew me away, because then I realized it. It was great.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a
Wow.
beautiful process.
Beautiful.
We will have to take a quick break. Peter just shared his journey on how he started as a photographer, also shared the passion and mission behind his photography and the trustability. When we return, we will gain more information as far as getting tools on how to build your self image. With that, we will
Mhm.
be right back to the Leader's Edge.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Leader's Edge. I'm Steve Steele with my co-host Ernie DeCumos and our special guest today, Peter Hurley. Segment 1 was great. I got a lot of information, Peter, about how you started your photography and the how it all began for you, and you were a model, and then you got behind the camera, and so we finished up the last segment talking a little bit about trust. But the question I have is, everybody that gets in front of your camera, their self-images aren't all perfect. I know that mine wouldn't be. How do you help a person really develop stronger self-image, or to take that amazing photo that they need to have? Because I mean, you got to feel good about yourself at some point. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Am I making sense at all there?
Oh my gosh, of course you have to feel that way. Like if people are walking
Yeah.
around, well, look, everybody's walking around with this. We live in fault-based society. In my TEDx talk, I did it with a psychologist and Dr. Anna Rowley, and she said, we live in this fault-based society, so we see our faults first. So that's what everybody sees. I mean, I never had anybody walk in my door and go, Peter, my skin's flawless, my hair's radiant, like you should be paying me. You know, it's like they all come in like my nose, my hair. I got these bags under my eyes. I should have lost the 10 pounds, you know, all that stuff. And that's what I have to deal with. I never had a 10-year-old. I shoot a lot of kids. I never had a 10-year-old come and go, oh, geez, Peter, I should have lost the 10 pounds before I came in here. You know, they never complain about anything. So it's
Right.
somewhere in adolescence or something happens where we have to go, you know, find a significant other, or we need to feel attractive for other human beings. And it becomes an importance to people at different levels. So some people put a high importance on it. Some people you know, they let it go by, and you can see it in your appearance. I mean, I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and jumps in the shower, cleans themselves up, looks in the mirror and throws on some clothes and walks out the door not caring about what they're wearing or doing or what their hair is doing or what their face is doing. I think we all are doing our best. I don't think anybody's not putting time and effort into that. It's just that some people put it at a very high, you know, in their lives in terms of where it's at. It's more important to some people than others, and that's just the nature of it. So some people take it to extremes and they want to change it. You know, I really feel like, look, we're all aging, and anytime somebody's in my grasp, within my grasp, or in my midst, I'm grabbing them and throwing them in front of the camera. Like if somebody comes with somebody else, I usually try and throw them in front of the camera too. And maybe just do some fun pictures with them, because we're documenting history. And there's a quote that I absolutely love from Eleanor Roosevelt. It's, you're the oldest you've ever been right now, and the youngest you'll ever be again. And if you think about that, it's like, this is an ongoing process. Like you're not getting younger. The chances of you loving yourself and the way you look, go look at pictures of yourself from 10 years ago, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't like myself then, and I was gorgeous. Like, you know, if you're not thrilled with your aging process. I happen to feel like I have a healthy self-image, and I feel like, you know, I modeled and, you know, I feel like, yeah, my parents hooked me up with some looks. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know it. Like I didn't go around thinking I was good looking. You know, I thought I was fine. I didn't really think about my appearance. But when I started modeling and I sat in a room full of guys and looked around and was like, I have to compete against these guys for this job. These guys are so much better looking than me. I felt like that. And anytime I got in front of a camera, if the photographer didn't like pull something out of me or make me feel comfortable, I was not good. You know, I wasn't doing any great shakes in front of the camera. I learned to get better. One of the things that's most important to me is this self-image thing. I think though your relationship with your appearance is got to take more precedence in people's lives. They don't even understand, or they don't know like how much it's affecting them. I mean, your visual representation of you to other people is the way you look. Like you don't see yourself. You see yourself when you look in a mirror. Other people are looking at you. And then we're concerned about what they're seeing. And the thing that I always say is, when I take a picture, it's frozen for eternity. It never moves. But in real life, when people are moving and animated, you know, the other person's so concerned about their appearance, they're not even looking at your appearance, and you're concerned about them looking at your appearance. Well, like it's just crazy out there. So there should never be this, you would never, I was thinking of a movie idea, like I scan people as I walk down the street, not in a creepy way, just because I love the human face. But I would love to make a movie where you could read the thoughts of the human beings. We pick up on people's looks and their appearance. We actually pick up body language first, and then we go to the facial expressions and things like that. Our body gives off an energy before our face does, is what I came to know. And I want to do this movie where you're walking down the street and you see these people looking at each other and pop the thoughts, hear the person speaking in their brain about what they said to the other people. And I guarantee you that it would be so beneficial for the people to hear that, because they're thinking that person's saying something negative or that they're unattractive. And I guarantee it's probably more toward the positive side on what these people are saying internally. If we could read minds, it'd be really interesting.
Oh my goodness. You're speaking my language. I definitely agree. A lot of us worry, especially women, right? We worry about how we look in front of others, thinking that other people will be judging us. And it's the same thing. The other person is thinking the same exact thing, which is why it's crucial to understand the value of self-image. But Peter, you are, I'm just going to disclose this. You are handsome, flat out handsome, and you've modeled, you've been what and with that, you master helping others with self-image. Now I would love to learn more about what your secrets are as far as enhancing your self-image into others, and maybe share that with the audience, because I think it's beneficial, especially with we say that we're getting older. You say you're getting older, but you don't look at all. You've been in photography for 25 years, but you don't look like old, if that makes any sense.
Oh, gosh, Ernie, okay.
Am I being frank?
I spend a lot of time on a sailboat. It keeps me young. And I try to but yeah, everybody's different. So when somebody comes into me, I don't know what the story is. I don't know if Johnny and the Six told them they had a big nose, and then they, I see it when I'm photographing something. I see things come out. I'll know if their teeth bother them, or their smile bothers them, or their receding hairline bothers them, or something like that bothers them. Most people won't tell me, but I pick up on these things. And then sometimes they'll tell me. A very strong person, will acknowledge the things that bugs them about them. I've grown to love myself as I age, and I feel like I feel pretty good about. I feel probably better about my appearance now than I did when I was modeling. It's and yeah, on the genetic lottery, there's a notion of what's beautiful, and for me, that thing is so subjective. Like, these people are saying, well, if you have symmetry in your face, you're considered more beautiful than somebody else, and that to me is not true at all. I think if I look at somebody and I feel that they're beautiful in my eyes and in my brain and my aesthetic and my thought process as me as an artist, and a certain angle works for them, and they're totally asymmetrical in their face, that has nothing to do with their beauty. Their beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I want you to be the eye of your own beholder when you look in the mirror and see it. I actually have this mirror that's called a true mirror in the studio. And when you look in it, it flips you back to see what other people see. So it flips you, so you're looking at yourself the right way. So here it is. So if you look at yourself in the mirror, there's it's called the mirror something effect. You get this relationship with yourself of seeing yourself in a mirror. You know how you look to yourself in a mirror, because hopefully you took a once over in the mirror this morning and then checked yourself out throughout the day to make sure everything was in place, right? Like, you didn't just walk around not looking at your face. Hopefully you did that. But if you look at yourself in pictures, you're flipped to what you're used to. So I really like to, obviously people look at themselves in the mirror more than pictures, I would hope, but you should be checking out pictures of yourself to see what other people see, and get used to that and understand that when you're in the selfie world, it'll flip you. Some of the camera in the apps flip you back, and some will flip you. So normally it flips you back. So you want to be looking normal best you can. And you can see that if you're wearing a shirt with writing on it and it's flipped when you're shooting.
Right.
Look like you look in a mirror, which to me is strange and foreign, and it's not the way you really look. So when somebody looks at my screen and says, I don't look like that, and I'm like, there wasn't anybody else in there. They're used to seeing themselves a different way. So I have to educate, and I have to be very conscious about my the way I speak to them. I've been told from a number of people that have worked with me and a number of students that have worked with me, and if you see me working, I have this uncanny ability to call out people's flaws in a comedic way or something, and they love it. So I'm I don't know how I do it. It's a feeling thing. I'll talk about the thing that bothers the person in a way that that I would say 99% of the time the person opens up to me about it. That 1% they probably like be like, oh, why was he talking about that like that? Whatever it is, it's like an elephant in the room. But when you're a photographer, I have a power that others don't. So for instance, just as an example, I feel like I'm people's personal brand manager. So if I see something on them that I could talk about or help them with or something, like for instance, couple of instances. One is when I smile, my mouth kind of pulls more to the left than the right. That's such a normal thing. You know how many people do that? So the person comes in, doesn't know other people do that. And then they're like, my mouth's messed up. It goes this way when I smile, and I have this crooked smile. I'm like, no, you don't. Everybody has that. Like 90% of the people have that. Stop worrying about that. When your smile breaks and you actually smile for real, it opens up on the other side and it looks normal. You don't have to worry about that. People can't see their face when they're smiling or laughing. So all they know is these problems. There's another thing. I can't tell you about this. This is crazy. The people say I have a lazy eye. And a lazy eye is like an eye drifting. And people do have lazy eyes. The eyes drift one way or the other, and they're not perfectly lined up. And there's a musculature that works around the eyes. And some people have control over it, some don't. I've seen everything. So I try and get the wandering eye to line up with the other eye and shoot it. And I've been very, I have techniques to do that. And I teach the person about it. And it's really interesting. I had one woman, I was like, can you control it? And she's like, not really. I mean, I can move it in, but I can't stop it. I said, fine, just move it in and I'll shoot the picture when it's in the right spot. She's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I did it. And
wow.
it feels so great, you know, after something like that. But the truth of the matter is that people with an eye difference, one eye bigger than the other, think that they have a lazy eye. They don't. They have an eye size difference. If everybody listening to this right now puts their hands on their brow bone and you feel it, you're human. Your skull's formed in a certain way. You have a certain amount of skin, and the support of one eye of the skin over one eye over the other could be different because the way you went through the birth canal or the way you developed or your skull developed or anything like that. So usually we have the eyes are, you know, not a huge opening. If you have a schmillimeter or so of a little bit more protrusion of the brow, you have more lift over that eye, and it'll appear like one eye's bigger than the other. And people come in and they're like, my parents messed me up. I actually say, yeah, your parents messed you up. You got to get over that stuff. We're human. And I'll tell you the way to fix it right now. I want everybody to go in front of a mirror and practice this. You'll look at your eyes. You'll see if they're even or not. If they're not even, you're not going to make the small eye bigger because that would open the eye, and opening the eyes connotes fear or uncertainty. If we're uncertain as humans, we open our eyes. If we're engaged in a thought process, we actually close our eyes down. We do this thing that I called squinching. And I did this video called It's All About the Squinch. And then Good Morning America came to the studio, and Sarah Haynes was here, was my client. It was awesome. They did this big story about it. And I've been having people squinch forever. But if you independently squinch the bigger eye, so it's a little smaller, and squinching is this is the difference between squinting and squinching. And this is it. You're narrowing the distance between your lower eyelid and your pupil. That's it. The top lid doesn't go down very much at all. So you've got a orbicularis oculi, the muscle that surrounds the eye, and there's two pubral ligaments that pull on it to create that squinching muscle. And some people be like, well, I can't do that. I said, you can. I think you can. And if you've had an operation on your eye or something like that, sure, maybe you won't be able to do it. But most people can isolate these muscles. I had an actor come in, and he was like, he's like, for the director asked me to lift my eyebrow over one side of my face and I could only lift the other eyebrow. I said, what'd you do? I said, well, I wanted to get the role. I said, well, what'd you do? He said he took duct tape. He taped his other eyebrow down, and then he just started working the muscles on the other eye, and then he could do both eyebrows. And I was like, wow, you got. So we can do these things that people, aren't aware that we're capable of doing. We can be our more attractive selves. Like this maneuver where you just push your jawline toward the camera makes everybody look slimmer. The jawline is the number one way to make somebody look more attractive, is to slim their jawline and give them some shape around their face. And if you just do that and figure that out, you're going to look, 100 times better in pictures anyway. And there's all these things that I've been, learning over the course of my career and teaching my subjects, and to the point where some of them are like that. Where'd you learn that? I was shooting out Alex Rodriguez, and he was like, and he gets photographed by A-Rod. So he gets photographed by everybody. He's in front of cameras. And he was so genuine and so nice and so into his pay. I loved it because he wanted to look at all the pictures, and I gave him my computer and he was going through it. But he says to me, he goes, how'd you learn this stuff? And I was like, it's like, why didn't anybody ever tell me this before? And I was like, I don't know. I made it up. I was a model. I knew I had to do this, and I figured this out. And he's like, wow, this is amazing. So it's those types of experiences.
Wow.
Allow me to do my job to the utmost. And that kind of expertise in the way that I treat my subjects is the way they feel like they can let loose, I guess, around me, or feel more comfortable, or feel like they're going to get some insight into their facial structure that they wouldn't have. I call myself a facial conveyance strategist. So what I do is I strategize on what the face is conveying to the camera, because for me, it's not about a pretty picture. It's about what a onlooker is going to see. So what's the person going to see? What are they going to, how are they going to feel about you from seeing that image? And what can I do to enhance or just bring out the best in you, which is already there, people. Like, it's already there. Like, there's beauty in everybody. It's my job to find it and to get you guys out of your own way. That's the problem. You just got to get out.
Wow, beautiful.
That is so good.
Oh my goodness. And I do agree. You have that authentic personality, Peter, that just makes people relax around you, even me. And you've told me this a couple of times before we started on the show. We will have to take a quick break. Peter just shared a ton of tools on how to improve self-image. And if you did not capture them, this is live, but we will have a replay, and you can pause and apply like what I was doing in front of my mirror earlier while Peter was sharing it. With that, we will be right back to the Leader's Edge.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leader's Edge. I'm Steve Steele with my co-host Ernie DeCumos and our special guest today, Peter Hurley. Peter, Ernie was talking in that last segment. She was talking to you about a question about when you were photographing women and how the self-image worked. And she said that sometimes that women have a little more difficult time with their self-image by and large. I have the question of this. Is it harder to photograph women or harder to photograph men?
It's so interesting. I mean, that's a loaded question because if I said
Yeah,
that
it is loaded.
comes after, I'm like, I believe what Ernie said, that look, the guys just don't, I don't know if it's just upbringing, or they just don't seem to invest as much in their appearance. Now there are those guys that do, but but women, imagine the investment of a woman, just the amount of time. If you had to add up all the time they spent just putting on makeup before they go out, compared to a guy. Like, I jump in the shower, I take a cold shower for 5 minutes. I got my hair in a ponytail or whatever, man bun, and I run out the door. That's it. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in, out, done. I mean, some of these, like just the time investment for people to feel like like themselves and to feel comfortable going out is such a big deal. So everybody's different like that. Like, I feel comfortable just running out the door, and I don't worry about whether my scruff's too long or it's time to shave or whatever. I'm very lack in those areas, but I still feel good. I still, throw on clothes I think are cool for the day, or I got my hoodie my wife gave me on today that I feel cool in. I gotta deck myself out. But everybody's different, so it can't be, is it easier to photograph men than women? It's like you're talking about humans. So every human is different. I've had difficult guys and I've had difficult women and I've had everything. I mean, I probably shot more people than almost anybody that's living on the planet right now, in terms of one-on-one sessions 3 feet in front of them. So I've had
what is a difficult subject when you're shooting? What does that look like?
Well, first off, the camera is very powerful. So I've shot, people of every, from newborns to presidents. I've shot I've shot everything. And everybody's different, and everybody's at a different stage of their game. So the way it affects people is totally interesting to me. And the effect of that the camera has on them is something that I read. So I can see it. So what I do is I meet somebody, and I do this by nature, but now since I'm studying this trustability, I'm speaking on it. I have a talk called Trustability in the Art of Creating Trust, through my speaker bureau, leading authorities. And I'm constantly trying to look at this and see, what is this that I'm doing with this individual? What is my body of work? And what it is let's figure out how this person ticks so I can get the best picture out of them the quickest way possible. So whether that person is, so this is the other thing that I've come to realize. Challenge. So the camera's a challenge. This is one of the most amazing things that I've learned by myself with a camera, that I don't think you can teach, or I don't know how it happened. I have 2 friends that were in the Secret Service, and I was photographing them, one of them, and the other one was like, the stuff that you do is you're reading them the way, like we get trained on that stuff, and you don't even know, and like, how'd you learn it? And I was like, I just do it. Like, I don't know. And what it is it's reading energy and a vibe, and then knowing what your next move is, to get that person to behave the way you want them to, basically. So basically, I'm not doing anything in particular, but I'm trying to make that person feel as comfortable as possible to get the best out of them doing what I need to do. Like, some people need ownership. Some people I need to be, take a back seat, even though they could be in my studio. I've done this 25 years. I'm considered the best in the industry. They got the memo coming in that I'm really good. They will not listen to me at all unless I act like they're in charge. So I have to bring myself down a notch for that person to get my desired outcome, which is the best for them. So I know that.
Right.
because I know that they take on challenges with like a bull in a china shop, and I need to be able to bob and weave around the bull, so I have to do it. That's just the way it is, and that's that personality. Then I've got the personality, they're petrified, they don't even want to be here. I had a woman walk in the door, and I turned and I went to introduce myself to her, and she started crying, and I'm like, well, what did I do? Why are you crying? What are you crying about? I hate it. I don't want to be here. I was like, well, just okay, we don't have to do it. Stay, go, leave. No, I have to, but I'm an author and I wrote it, but I have to do it. I was like, okay, hold on, wait, time out. Let's sit down and talk about this. You're crying. You have to do it. You won't leave. You want me to do it. Okay, this is kid glove time. So it's so varied that it doesn't, like, to be honest, I like to be honest, but the way that I feel is that when I photograph men, I was a male model. I knew the photographers, like I knew the shots I liked in myself. I light men differently. I light men the way my lighting for men actually came about because of the way I like to be lit myself as a model. So I light them differently. And then I don't like makeup on guys. So I was shooting Mikhail Baryshnikov, and my makeup artist was like a huge fan of him. And he's like, I gotta come. And I was like, no, you're not coming. No, are you kidding? You can't not bring me. I was like, I don't like makeup on guys. The guy's gorgeous. Like, you don't need to do anything to him. I'm gonna shoot him. You're not coming. And he was like mad, legitimately upset with me. But that's the way I feel. And women, I won't go, like, if they're spending the money that they're going to spend with me and take the time with me, I want a professional there to help them to feel their best and get out of them and do an aesthetic that works for them and works for me. So it's a totally different dynamic between me and having another human there, or me and a guy, and just me and them. So it's not, I can't really compare them. I like shooting both men and women. I actually got known as being like the best when I started, was the best at shooting men. And then I started shooting because I didn't have a makeup artist, so I wasn't shooting that many women. And this rumor went around New York that I was best at shooting guys. I was like, I'll take it, great. And then I started shooting women, and then the rumor went around, he's the best at shooting women, he can't shoot guys. And I was like, what are you talking about? I started shooting guys. I started shooting my friends at the male modeling agency. I've always been amazing with guys, and now they say I'm the best with women. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
crazy.
What a journey, Peter. You have gone through
Yeah.
so many scenarios, experiences, and you've also learned so much along the journey and now sharing it to others. I'm sure our listeners are very interested on how they can connect with you. And what are you currently working on?
I am currently working on a self-image program, actually, that's coming into play. I also want to write a book that kind of encompasses all the things that we spoke about today, and then some. So I'm going to start that journey. I'm doing it all while I'm photographing and coaching photographers globally to take the best pictures possible. So I have a network of photographers. It's called the Headshot Crew. If you go to headshotcrew.com, there's find a photographer link, and you can find somebody that I coached to potentially take an awesome headshot of you. And I think the investment is worth it. Like I said, the byproduct is the image, but the experience that you of documenting yourself at this time in your life, doing it, I think that it's so important. It's so important to have these pictures, not only for you and to put out there. Your image is so important for others, and we use it all the time. Anytime somebody asks me to do anything, they always ask me for my headshot. Everybody needs one. I was just in Times Square doing a little promo video for something, and I just looked around at all the billboards, and I was like, there's a headshot, there's a headshot, there's a headshot, there's a headshot, there's a headshot. If you don't have a headshot, you better go get a headshot. And if you want to find me, I'm at peterhurley.com, and I try to be as entertaining as possible on my Instagram, and that's Peter_Hurley.
Awesome. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, Peter, I know one thing. I definitely want to have you back, especially when you get that book out and we talk about self-imaging. I would love to have you back on the show. It would be a great subject to talk about on the show.
I don't even know the title yet. I was thinking like face value, but
yeah,
I love that title, but if somebody already wrote it, so I don't know if I can write it with the same title, but it's basically that. How much do you value your face, everybody out there? Like it's so important. I want the world to value what God gave them. So I think it's so important. We're so lucky.
We are.
For sure. But we will follow up with you and definitely have you back on the show, and we'll talk to you about that later on. But for our listeners, if you have a product, service, or rebranding that you're launching in your company, we would love to help you promote it globally. Please contact our producer, Robert Ciolino, at Robert.Ciolino, Ciolino, at voiceamerica.com for more information.
Hey, partner, as a sneak peek, next Thursday, we have a newly found friend who is a financial planner, Chad Hufford. Tune in next Thursday to the Leader's Edge. And as always, Peter, wow, what an amazing day spent with you. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much.
That is the best. I motor mouthed a little bit, but I loved it.
You were great. You were great.
I didn't let you guys get a word in. I was like, you guys just got me going. I was like a ball of
We had like 5 questions. That's about it.
Yeah, we were beautiful. It was beautiful.
Thank you again, Peter. And we wanted to say thank you to all of our listeners and friends, because without you, the Leader's Edge would not be possible. We are grateful to have you here and so excited to connect with you next time. But for now,